I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down. He should calm down.
So he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack. Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please, just please.
Bombs away from the Bronx Bomber!
Wanda! Let's go, baby! Let's go! I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
I got dropped, man!
Are you kidding?
Wanting to fight.
OMG. I am so excited.
Yes. What is up? MCR family? Another semi-bi-weekly edition of the show live on YouTube, obviously podcast form, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all of those podcast feeds and distributors. Obviously, we have a big show as well to get to. Joe Miller and the gigantic scandal again. Hold on, let me... PED failure for one of the three substances he failed last time for. I mean, the boxing gods must hate this guy. I mean, seriously, they're laughing from up top. They do not like Big Baby, or Big Baby hates himself. Either or, we haven't figured that out yet. We're going to discuss it on the show. Plus, we have what else do we have to get to? We have Oscar De La Hoya, Jermell Charlo, beef. Oscar De La Hoya, Ryan Garcia, beef, because Oscar just keeps talking and talking and talking, and I don't understand why media members keep just sticking a microphone in his face and letting him just rant like a madman. We have obviously fights that happen on Saturday and on Thursday that we have to review with the Miguel Berchelt fight and the Jason Maloney fight to get to. So just a lot on today's show, surprisingly. So without further ado, let me get to my co-host on this show, who's going to be gone for this week, guys. I know it's really sad, but he'll be back next week, Mr. Gary in Dallas. Gary, how are you?
I'm good. I'm going to the motherland for 6 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you worried about having it all?
So I'll tell you off air. I'm taking my son to see a doctor. It's like the best doctor. Like, what do they call a gut doctor? It's a really big word I can't pronunciate.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna try. But we're taking him to see that. He just opened up.
Okay.
And then we're going down to Sicily. That's in Milan. And then we're going down to Sicily for 2 or 3 days with the wife, where I still have my mom still has some cousins and stuff, although most of them moved over to the States. So we'll be gone for a week. Yeah.
Stay safe out there, obviously, but that'd be cool.
It's like it can't be much different than Texas is now, right? I mean, so
hey, they might not want you coming to Italy.
No, there was talks about that. Like the EU is opening back up, but they might. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how serious that is, but I've heard like there's been talks of them.
I assume your tickets are already bought and paid for, right? Then let's see where it goes. you get to Milan, they're like, go back.
Well, I'm flying into Rome.
Okay.
Then we're taking a train to Milan, and then we're taking a flight.
I love Italy. God, if there's like what, I'll be honest, if I could live anywhere in this world, it would not be America. Italy is high up on that list. It's just beautiful.
Yeah,
and the food. Oh my God. But digressing, guys, you don't care to hear us talk about Italy and the food there. Let's get to some boxing. First, let's get to some real serious news. And there's not much to discuss about this other than just mentioning it. But Roberto Duran has now been hospitalized in Panama due to COVID-19. So just obviously prayers out to Roberto Duran right now. Positive thoughts and vibes to him and his family, because this is serious. And at his age, obviously this is more of a concern than maybe someone that's a little bit younger. So real serious thoughts and prayers out there to Roberto Duran and his family right now. Gary, any quick thoughts on, I know a fighter that you're a huge fan of. I know I've grew up watching and idolizing. So any quick thoughts on this as it happened, I want to say just a few days ago?
Yeah. like I said on the show, I think Duran's the greatest lightweight that's ever lived. I've always been a big fan of Duran. He was my favorite of the, I guess you call him the Fab Four or the Four Horsemen or whatever you want to call him. So lots of prayers going out to Duran. I heard he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
I saw Duran.
He looks in good spirits. There's a few pictures floating out of him in the hospital. He's on a ventilator. He's on ICU right now, but he's in the hospital. He does look like he's in good spirits, but just, again, thoughts for him. But back to you, Gary. Sorry.
I saw him. He was at the weigh-in for Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence in Dallas. He looks about a little overweight, but he looks in good shape. Like, he doesn't seem like, like he's lost his mind or anything like that. Like, he seemed healthy and stuff. So hopefully all works out. We'll be praying for him. But that's a legend right there.
Yeah. That's one of those all-time great statuses that we really don't throw around as often as maybe Hall of Fame or, greats. He's an all-time great. He's somebody that we will talk about forever, period, point blank. Gary, what do you want to talk about first in terms of like real topics? Do you want to talk about the Joe Miller?
I mean,
or do you want to get into the fights that happened these last few days?
Did you watch the Burchell card? That was fire.
Oh my God, I did.
I mean, I think we should talk about that last because that's what it deserves to go. I mean, look, I thought we were kind of have these kind of cards where it was bad tune-ups, but these are ridiculous. I mean, that fight was. Where do they find these guys? And the Navarrete card they had last week, was this one sanctioned or do we not know yet? Because the Navarrete one still wasn't sanctioned because I guess no one wanted to sign off on that, and this was just as bad.
Yeah, this one was. Again, Jake Donovan is saying that there is some sort of commission. It's not sanctioning; it's commission. There's some sort of commission that is overseeing this. BoxRec still says that there was no commission listed for this at this point. So. Who knows?
That's I've known some people who are from San Antonio or from the Valley, and they turn pro at 16, 17 in Mexico because they'll let them. And sometimes it just takes BoxRec a while to update it. But this is a major card, right? I can't see that being the case.
No, This is more of an issue than I think people are letting on. And even Jake Donovan, who I think is a really good reporter and journalist in this industry, but you can't just have this not be a yes or no answer and it not be an issue, right? Like if I ask, hey, is there a commission that has jurisdiction over this event? And you can't answer me with a yes or no, we have issue.
That's probably a no, right?
Yeah, and I think I'll be honest, I'd rather have the flat out no than the maybe.
It's like when your girl asks you, did you go out Friday when I was out of town? If it's not no, then it's yes, right? You know what I'm saying? If you can't answer the question.
That is absolutely true. And again, it's not like this doesn't happen, right? Like you said, I know tons of people that go across the border to Tijuana, have tons of fights there that we can probably argue aren't really overseen by anyone that's a third-party commission, or if they are, how real objective are they? How separated are they from local promoters and such? We can have that argument, and it's probably a valid argument to have. But like you said, Gary, these are major cards on ESPN. Miguel Burchell and Emmanuel Navarrete are two world champions, legit world champions. And when the question comes up of, is there any athletic commission that has jurisdiction on these events? It goes, maybe. I don't know. It's a little bit complicated. Sorry. It's not a big issue, but it's complicated. That's kind of what the answer we're getting. And that doesn't fly for me at all, to be quite honest. And I'll be, like you said, the fight, we can just talk about it right now because we are.
Yeah.
That Miguel Burchell card was bad.
Yeah.
Like every fight on the undercard was just not worthy of my time or energy. The actual main event itself, Miguel Burchell struggled with a true journeyman, and that was kind of weird to see. Maybe just an off night, but it wasn't a good night for him. So the thing I was hoping for was to see Miguel Burchell just slaughter someone at the end. I'll be honest, that was what I wanted. I was watching hours and hours of fights. I had an entire UFC card before that I watched. So I'd watch 10 hours, 11 hours of fights at that point. I did not want to see bum ass, and I'm using that word specifically. I know we don't use that word, but that's what it is. Bum ass squash matches on undercards of an ESPN card. I do not want to see it. And on top of it, the main event with a truly all world-class violent world champion, and he kind of struggled with the journeyman. I don't want to see that ever in my life. I'll be honest. This is not enjoyable.
I agree, and I'm a huge Burchell fan. Like, I think Burchell might be the best guy at 130, and I think he can go up to 135 with his size and power and physical strength. Right? That was ridiculous. I wouldn't put too much. Remember when Chocolatito fought his tune-up fight? I'm not putting.
I 100% do not put stock into him looking bad in this fight. And I see Johnny, shout out to Johnny in the chat. Go check out the song "Hold the Line" on all DSPs. Saying that struggles with stretch, Matt. He had a chin. He was taking some heavy shots. But he was dishing back some heavy shots too. And Miguel Burchell was eating some heavy shots. Miguel Burchell's defense did not look stellar on Saturday. But like you said, Gary, I don't put stock into this. I still want to see him fight Leo Santa Cruz, Gervonta Davis, Oscar Valdez, even Carl Frampton. There's tons of guys at the top that he could still beat. I might pick him to beat, and I want to see him fight.
I still think he could beat Herring. I think he could. Yeah. Who else is? Who are the other champs? Valdez he would destroy. Well, he's that fight is likely going to happen. But I would really. But that's not the point. That card was ridiculous, and it's the second ridiculous card in a row. And I don't understand how ESPN and Top Rank keeps putting their names to this. Like once it's like, okay, guys, this can't happen again. Next week's show better be more competitive, and there better be real fights. And this one was worse than the last one because the other one, at least like some of the co-main events, the co-main event, and some of the undercard fights were at least watchable. This was awful. I like. My wife was laughing. Like the one knockout in the co-main, like that was ridiculous. And then they stopped it way too soon. And then it got to like the main event. And I love watching Burchell. Like he's one of my favorite fighters to watch. I'm looking at my phone. Like, is this gonna? Dude. Can we get through this?
I'll be honest. By round 2, I went from my studio here to laying in my bed. Okay, because I was so over it, and I was watching it. I had YouTube videos on at the same time. Like it got that bad for me. Where I was like, I'm seeing him hit shots and land combinations against Valenzuela. I think it was his name, right? Let me pick it.
Valenzuela, yeah.
Valenzuela, and credit to him, like he's a true journeyman in like the positive sense. I'll say, like he loses to all of the top guys. You go to his record, he's lost to tons of top competition and beats up all the local guys. That's a true journeyman. He's
going to get more work based on that performance. He took a beating. You'll see him again on a top rank card or a Golden Boy card or something. You'll see him again.
I 1,000% think that we see Oscar Valdez fight this guy before he fights Burchell, and ESPN like bill it as like a common opponent with Burchell. Man, I mean, I'll be honest. Like you're 100% right. He's going to get more work. Maybe a Leo Santa Cruz fight in the future. I think actually didn't he fight?
I was hoping guys like 8-0, 11-0, guys like that would fight him. Not guys who are world champions.
Shakur Stevenson.
Oh, you know they should put him. They should put him in with the Irish kid, the Olympian, who I don't think is any good.
Oh no,
Conlon.
Different weight though. He could fight drop. He could fight. Yeah,
126. Yeah, you're right.
But I mean, if they paid him extra 10 grand, I mean, you could drop the 4 pounds.
Yeah.
Or just miss weight and they don't care.
This fight was actually at 135 because I don't think Burchell felt like cutting weight.
Oh, that's right. It was at 135. Yeah, you're right. Everyone's not trying to make weight right now.
Especially for that. Like, just go to 135. I'm not draining myself for that.
92.
I'm not skipping.
Oh, I'm saying, damn, respect to you guys trying to watch that top rank card.
See, we watch it so you don't have to. You see?
Dude, there was nothing redeemable about this card. Nothing at all. And I'll be honest, some of these prospects that might be undefeated on these cards are getting like wins against guys that are like 7-10 and 8-14. Like, I'll be honest, I'm hating you guys. I am not getting hyped on you as prospects at all. I think this is making me be turned off on everyone involved on these cards to some degree, except for Joshua Franco. He's the only one I've liked out of anyone on any of these cards. That fight with Andrew Maloney, that's it. Only thing that's been redeemable of the Boxing is Back Summer Series on Top Rank.
Yeah, no, I mean, like we got to see Shakur, and Shakur shined.
Briefly, do you want to talk about the Jason Maloney fight as well with Leonardo Baez? Bring that in because that card as well on Thursday.
It was better than Saturday's card.
It was because I mean, you had the Abraham Nova fight against Avery Sparrow, even though that fight turned into a dud. Like that fight was not entertaining. That fight was boring, but that fight on paper made sense.
Who do you think won that fight? Do you think the judges got it right?
Yeah, I don't think the.
Well, it was wide. It was too wide.
It was wide. I don't like it being that wide, but yes, I thought Nova won that fight.
I picked Sparrow to win, and I thought Nova won. Can we talk about Nova's beard?
I picked Nova to win, by the way. I don't know if I made picks, but I was thinking Nova should win. I thought he looked good on the come up. I've never been impressed by Avery Sparrow at all. The only reason we know about him is because the whole him having a fight fall out because he got arrested and that whole I don't know, not scandal, but whatever fiasco that happened in Philly, right? Wasn't it Philly?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the only reason we know him, to be quite honest. He's not because he's a great prospect. That's not
no,
wrong.
He's not. But like, he's come from Philly boxing school. He's got some skills, right? He's got some speed. He's got some skills. I thought it would be enough to win enough rounds. I wasn't that impressed with Nova, although he looked pretty good. I thought he won the fight. I don't think either one of those guys have a championship pedigree. Like, I don't think we're going to see any of those guys in the top 10 or 15 ever.
Yeah, I agree. Bring it back slightly to the Berchelt Valdez fight. I think now that is a little more competitive than what I thought. I'll be honest. I think Berchelt's a little bit too coming straight lines, straight forward, straight backwards. Head movement's a little bit lacking. His power and chin is going to allow him to beat a guy like Oscar Valdez at the end of the day. But Valdez is a better mover than Berchelt. Like, his lateral movement is light years better than Berchelt. And that's indicative of how bad Berchelt's lateral movement is, to be honest, and his head movement. So he's hittable. Like, I think Leo could beat him. I'll probably pick a Leo Santa Cruz to beat Berchelt right now because the lack of defense, lack of movement from Berchelt.
Yeah, I guess I'd pick Santa Cruz to beat him. I guess you have to because Santa Cruz has more gears, and Santa Cruz is going to match him for aggression and match him for punch volume and everything like that. And I think Berchelt's the bigger hitter than Santa Cruz. Just power.
I 100% agree on that. Yes.
If you go back, not this fight, because this fight was a sparring session where I don't even think he was in sparring shape, right? When you go back, you watch the Sosa fight, which wasn't that long ago. It was late last year. Again, he's not a mover, but there is some head movement, right? And he's using his jab a little bit more. Like, go back and watch the Sosa fight and judge the Valdez fight off of that. Not what we saw yesterday, because what we saw yesterday was silly time.
I'll go back and watch the Sosa fight because you told me to, and I will. But I will say this: I've never been high on Sosa.
No, Sosa is what he is. I mean, Sosa is a stepping stone. He's a gatekeeper.
He makes basic look like it has the most levels.
That boy is tough, though. That boy is tough.
Well, he is. He gave up against Loma. Oof.
I did. True. That's crazy. I guess it's just frustration because Berchelt beat the holy hell out of him, and he stood in there. But I guess it's just the frustration, right? Like, all right, I can't do anything with this guy.
Yeah, definitely. Let's move off that because that'll be it. I will say this: Jason Maloney. Yeah, I'm not high on the Maloney brothers. I'll be honest. I'm going to be hating on this show a lot, guys. I'm sorry. Rob's going to listen to the show tomorrow morning and be texting me saying that I hate boxing. I know, because Jason Maloney is not the quality that I think people want him to be. Leonardo Baez was putting hands on Jason Maloney. And Jason Maloney's boxing ability, I would say, his ability to go on his toes and box quite well allows him to win rounds and to have success. And he obviously finished Baez at the end of it, but I was not impressed by him at all. I thought he got hit a lot too, just like his brother did, but his brother was facing Joshua Franco, and that was the difference. Like, I thought after seeing the Jason Maloney fight on Thursday that if Joshua Franco fought that Maloney at 118, he would beat him, to be honest. Like, I think Joshua Franco can move up to 118 and beat the other Maloney brother.
I was going to ask you about Negret, because Negret was supposed to get that fight, but he got injured. Would Negret have won? I think so, too.
Yes. Yes, I do. I think you would. I think the Maloney brothers are overhyped.
That's like, because I was high on Manny Rodriguez, and I thought Manny beat him, but it was close. Like, it was real close. Like, Maloney gave him that work. Like, I had it really close for Manny, but like, it was close. Like, and I was like, I don't know. That was Manny's best win, right? And I was like, looking back,
that was Manny's only.
He beat Paul Butler.
Like I said. Sorry, UK. I'm sorry. No, you're right. He had Paul Butler. That was a decent one.
That was the one which we all thought he was really good.
Mm-hmm.
He looked Butler out, and Butler missed weight by like 4.5 pounds because he didn't even try. He's like, no, I'm just going to be the bigger guy in the ring. Yeah, I'm not high on either Maloney either. Top rank is, I guess. I don't know.
I'm going to say this as well. It really sucks that Inoue moved up to the worst division. Not the worst division, the lesser division, I should say, than super flyweight.
115 is so good, isn't it? It's so stacked right now.
It's historic. Like, that's how good 115 is right now compared to 118. 118 is really good. The fact that Rigo and Donaire have now dropped to 118, I think, adds a lot of legitimacy and sort of in a weird way, passing history from other divisions to that division right now. But the other guys in that division at 118, then Amanda Rodriguez's, the Nordino Bali's, like all those guys, I'm not too high on in any way. Like, I think the gap between Inoue, Rigo, and Donaire is significant when you get to Rodriguez, Maloney, when you get to that level of competition at 118. There is a gigantic gap.
I get, like, you guys aren't high on Bali, right? Like,
and again, it's not that Bali and Maloney and Rodriguez aren't good. It's just that they are not anywhere close to those three guys.
Right. No, I agree with that.
And at 115, from the top number one guy, whoever you want to pick, is Estrada or Chocolatito, whoever, to number 8 is just historic Hall of Fame. And that's a little bit different. It's just the level of depth at 115 is just different.
No, you're right. I think 115 is the best division right now, the deepest division in the sport.
I like Santiago's point here, saying Andrew had a more impressive performance in a losing fight than Jason did in winning. I probably agree with that to a degree. I never was high on Andrew because I don't think he really fought anyone, to be honest.
No.
He was like 24-0. He fought nobody. But Jason Maloney had some good wins. He fought Luis Concepcion. Like, he had some decent wins. Andrew, though, looked good. He just was not good enough to beat Joshua Franco, who I think is a really good opponent. Moving on, though, let's get to the news that I know all of us want to talk about, and that is Big Baby Miller testing positive again for now the 3rd time for the 5th or 6th substance. So his fight with Jerry Forrest is now off. I know Top Rank is trying to find a new opponent for Jerry Forrest. That new opponent is supposed to be Carlos Takam right now, though they're trying to get it figured out. We can talk about that in a second, I guess, if we want. But obviously, let's talk about Big Baby Miller failing another, PED test and the obvious ramifications that are coming. Gary, your opening thoughts on this topic, because we really haven't discussed it too much, I feel like, in the group chat. I know maybe you and Rob and Foo have, but I haven't. I've stayed out of it just because I wanted to save it for the show. So, Gary, your thoughts on this development?
This is either the 3rd or the 6th failed drug test of Big Baby, because he failed for 4 substances, and then he failed once before that. So it's either the 4th or the 6th failed test of Big Baby's brief career.
Yes.
He's failed. And he's failed not for weird things like maybe he didn't know. He failed for HGH. He fell for he took steroids, right? I mean, there's no he ate bad beef or it was medicine or he took steroids. Like, it's just simple and plain. That's enough now, right? Like, that's enough. There's no I don't know how many chances they gave James Toney, but it can't be more than this. It's it. You're done. No more. Like, you're making a mockery of everything now. You didn't even get one clean fight in. You're just done. Like, I said this, right? And my wife started laughing. I was like, do you know who that is? He's like this 300-pound guy. My wife's like, I know exactly who he is. He's the guy that failed last year before the Joshua fight. I was like, Very impressive. Yeah.
Very good. You get a cookie.
But I mean, the meme where his head is imposed on Ice Cube's head and Smokey's like, you had to get fired on your day off. But he's a meme now. He's a joke. Like, just get rid of him. I was a fan of his before all this. I said he could be the sleeper of that heavyweight division. Dealing with his style and his size and his punch output is going to be a problem for anyone, right? Because he outweighs Tyson. He outweighs Deontay Wilder by 100 pounds, right? Like, how do you just him leaning on you, pushing you, like that's going to tire you out. But it's time to let him go. There's no more chances, right? Like, just you're done. You can go try to get sanctioned in Russia or the Middle East or something, but you can't fight here.
I am highly curious to see what happens with him because I don't know exactly. I've not seen this stated outright that he was under full jurisdiction from Nevada. I know that, look, it's Nevada, so they can, because his fight was on the schedule, they can suspend him. He is technically under their jurisdiction, but similar to the Chavez case, like I don't know if he can worm his way out of it somehow in terms of being under the jurisdiction of Nevada. Just for everyone is understanding that, pay attention to that aspect because I don't think he was licensed from Nevada. He just had a fight on the docket, and that is a difference.
So I would say this.
That's how they got with the Chavez-Jacobs fight.
He doesn't have a license to fight in Nevada, right?
I don't think so.
Don't give him one, and then he can't get one anywhere in the States. Well, I guess he would try to apply to Texas and try to do that if he was going to apply for a license.
I mean, we said the same thing with Chavez Jr.
Yeah.
And they made Jacobs Chavez Jr. And Eddie Hearns spat in the faces of everyone.
I guess you're right. Yeah.
So I just, again, pay attention to that aspect. I don't know if that's where we're going, but for those listening, that is avenue that we could go down. However, let's go under the assumption that Nevada does feel like he's under their jurisdiction. They can't suspend him, and they go all out. I think they go all out. I think we see a gigantic suspension. I mean, I think we see something where it's like at least 5 years, if not lifetime.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least 4 years. Yeah.
The only metric that I can go to of like what's an extreme year-long or multi-year-long suspension was Nick Diaz, and he was suspended for 5 years for marijuana for a third offense. He went to court. It was changed to a year and a half, but that was for marijuana, right? This is now, like you said, steroids. It is EPO. It is HGH. It is the biggies, right? It's the stuff that we can't have the nuanced discussion about PEDs and banned substances. We can't have that with Joe Miller, honestly speaking. Not at this point, especially.
They suspended him for a year and a half for weed?
Yes, but it was originally 5 years.
Yeah. Like he should have just took opioids and been addicted to painkillers for the rest of his life. Then he would have been fine.
The Nevada State Commission, guys. Like that's what we're working with.
Which is now legal in Nevada. The irony in that.
I know. It's and the best part is, dude, one of the Nevada commission heads literally was a primary investor into a dispensary when that went down. No, I'm not lying to you. Like that legitimately happened. I shout out to Nevada State Commission, but I think we're going to probably get either a 5-year suspension or something along that 4 to 6 years, right? Or we see a lifetime suspension.
I mean,
that's where we're going.
It's rough to give him a lifetime suspension, right? Because I mean, just like the way the laws work. But if you just like when they gave SMU football,
by the way, they've done before.
Have they done?
Vanderlei Silva got a lifetime suspension. That was for I forget for what PED. It wasn't like one of those that was for weed again. It was legit.
All right, if there's a precedent, if you give him 4 years, that's 4 years out of the ring. Your career is basically that's basically the death penalty. Like they did to SMU, you can't give scholarships for 10 years or whatever it was. Like okay, your program's done with, right? Like we can't actually say you can't have a program, but we can make it so.
Yeah, we could see that.
Basically nuked it, right?
We could see that absolutely. I mean, I'm assuming what. Is there a thing that you are in favor of? Are you in favor of a lifetime ban? Are you in favor of a 4-year ban? Or does it not really matter to you? Like, you just think that something extreme is going to be thrown down at Jermell, and that's all that matters.
Look, I give him a 4-year ban, okay, or a 5-year ban. If he still wants to fight, I'm not giving his license back right away. Go through another year where you pay for your own testing. After the 5 years, you pay for your own testing once a month. If you pass then you can come back 6 years from now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not giving you your license back even after the suspension is up, right? I'm going to put you on some kind of probationary period where I'm going to test you out of your own pocket if you really want to do this. And if you pass every time I test you, then I can try you once more. But that's years from now.
I will also say this. It's not really to that point at all, because I agree with everything you just said. I do think Top Rank is like, Top Rank should only be looking at themselves for what happened here. Because how long has Joe Miller kind of been signed to them? Say like a year.
I mean, basically, yeah.
Right? At no point did they require testing from him. At no point did any commission require testing from him. You know, we're only a week and a half from his fight. So this is just the commission testing. Like, that's part of what this is, right? This is the 2-week commission testing that they do a little bit extra for people that popped before. And he popped. Like, I don't... Top Rank, again, shot themselves in the foot here completely. Obviously, Joe Miller did as well. And on top of it, how the fuck did he mess up again? Like, dude, like, there is an entire system called the snack system where everyone's using, allegedly, and none of them are popping. Like, go get on the clear. Like, go get on the Victor Conte good shit. Like, you can afford it, I'm assuming. You know, like, this is where I don't get how he failed so many times. Because so many other people are using and they aren't getting caught at all. And he gets caught 5 or 6 times.
It's a level of arrogance, I guess.
Yes. It has to be. Because he's using now like 2 weeks before the fight, most likely.
And he doesn't strike me as a like incredibly stupid person. Like, there are some people in the sport of boxing who's like, that person is, you know, like, you think he would kind of know better. Like, okay, like, I got caught twice now, or 4 times, however you want to look at it. Like, let me try to mask this. Let me hire the professionals. Let me hire who those other people are hiring. You
know, like you said, he definitely does. He's never seemed like a dumb person. He's definitely seemed like a character at times.
Yeah.
But he's always seemed like he has been methodical when it comes to how he wants to present himself. Like that, he is like, that's on purpose. Like what he says in interviews, how he presents himself, like the whole press conference interaction with AJ, like that was probably practice. Like that's how smart he is to a degree. And like you said, he's still dumb enough to fucking do this. Like, he was still a level of arrogance to where he's still fucking sticking the needle in and doping up a few weeks before his fight. Because I don't think this was extreme VADA testing. This was the commission testing. So it was a fucking piss test, most likely, that he failed for. Like, this is stuff that anyone that's at the very top can get away with, honestly. Anyone at the top can get away with this. He doesn't, time and time again. And it is upsetting because, like you said, Gary, he could have been like the dark horse of the division. His size, his volume, which we now kind of know why, all were real big X factors to the division and to the top of the division. And all those great matchups that we could have had, completely gone now. Due to him, due to Top Rank. Now, I mean, like, attempting to make sure this wouldn't happen by drug testing him a lot in the offseason. No. And again, I just want to point out before we get off this topic, do not be surprised, people, if somehow he worms his way out of this because he's not licensed by Nevada or some bullshit like that, and they commission shop or something. Do not be surprised. Okay? You think does anyone out there honestly think that Bob Arum or ESPN or Eddie Hearn or anyone out there is morally against working with Jermell Miller when they're working with Daniel fucking Kinahan? And I mean, any other, dictatorship, authoritarian regime out there in the world? No.
But here's the thing. And I don't think they're morally opposed to it, but I think they may be economically opposed to it, because if I could only have him fight in West Virginia, how much money can I really make off of him? So he's no longer attractive to me because, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no money for putting a fight in West Virginia featuring Jermell Miller. So that's no. If they could get sanctioned by New York, California, or Vegas and Nevada tomorrow, they would absolutely do it. Of course they would. But
Florida? You don't think they'd go to Florida?
Ooh, Florida and Texas are the two that would that Texas would do it.
Texas would do it. They might be asking right now. They might be calling Bob Aaron, like, please, like, don't take away the fight. We'll take it.
If you remember the Margarito Pacquiao fight, Jerry Jones had announced that right before Margarito had a license. Like, he had posters, billboards, the whole thing. They're like, someone has to tell Jerry that Margarito doesn't have a license to fight anywhere. And Jerry's like, I'll take care of that. That's what he said. He went into a meeting with Dickie Cole, Lawrence Cole, the referee's dad, who was head of Texas Department License and Regulations and Combative Sports, right? Went into a meeting with him, came out, and his son was the referee. Done. Half-hour meeting, done. Fight's done. Like, I mean, Jerry Jones is now the richest person in Dallas. So if he wants to make this fight, if he wants to get Jarrell Miller versus AJ or Wilder or Fury in Cowboy Stadium, he'll do it.
Did you hear the story about when the Fertitta brothers in Las Vegas, Nevada, obviously, bought the UFC and legalized MMA all in the span of like 24 hours? Ever heard that story?
When I lived in New York, UFC mixed MMA, mixed combat was illegal. You couldn't do it or watch it. Yeah.
I think it was, so there was this commission, I'm paraphrasing what happened, but this all happened within like 24, 48 hours. Like, this happened all within the span of 2. There was a meeting with the Nevada Commission to ratify the unified rules of MMA. And at the time, I think it was SEG were the primary owners, or the majority owners of the UFC. It wasn't Zuffa, it wasn't the Fertitta brothers. Dana White was involved, right? And the Nevada Commission denied the unified rules of MMA. Fertitta's then bought the UFC. They forced, because at the time, Lorenzo was a member of the Nevada Commission, asked for another meeting. They then ratified the rules of MMA after he bought the company. This all happened in the span of like 24, 48 hours. Like, that is commissions in a nutshell, guys. Like, we're working with some real, like, when we talk about like shady, bureaucratic local government, oh my God, commissions are like the perfect examples, aren't they? They really are. They're like the epitome of that bullshit. Because
they don't get much funding. So Jerry Jones comes in like, well, how much money, how many zeros do you need? I can do that, right? Like, okay, here's your fight.
And there's zero accountability because there's no elections. It's all appointed. And the only guy that needs to be appointed is the head of the commission. He then appoints all the other people. So like,
yeah.
Oh God, so good.
I remember asking who's the head of the Texas State Commission now, how you become a judge. And he's like, well, you have to have a Texas driver's license, and then fill out the application online, and then we'll have you shadow one of the other judges. That's it. Mm-hmm. So, a printer, a driver's license, and then watch boxing with the judge, and I'm good to score a professional prize fight. Yeah. Like. You know what I'm saying? It's not judging a circus carnival, right? This is people putting their lives online. Like, we're not going to take that seriously at all.
No. Clearly not. Want to move on?
Yeah.
Let's get to the Oscar De La Hoya feuds with the Nest, because there's multiple now. And let's talk about the Charlo one first, because this one to me is interesting. I think I was not expecting a Jermell Charlo-Oscar De La Hoya beef in 2020, and yet we're having it. I'm not going to read everything that's out there. I'm not going to really read the quotes. Gary, I know you've read them all, right? I don't need to read them all. I think our listeners have. This happened a few days ago, and plus, I just don't want to spend 15 minutes reading Oscar De La Hoya's rants and Jermell Charlo's rants, because, oh my God, I'll go crazy. But Oscar was on Cynthia Conte, aka Ring Magazine, or Ring TV's YouTube channel, and was interviewed and started talking about Jermell Charlo and Jermell Charlo, and basically saying that, you know, PBC took them from us, and we built them up when they were fighting no one, and they were getting paid to fight no one. Jermell Charlo did not like that and proceeded to rant for 2 days about it. Gary, thoughts on this beef? Thoughts on the claims of, Jermell Charlo saying that my brother wasn't even signed by you guys, yet you're claiming that he was signed. You're claiming all these stuff. We were only paid well after we left you. We didn't get any respect. There was campaigns against us at the time when we fought Rosado, when we fought this guy. Thoughts on a lot of these.
I'm reading this. I'm trying to put everything in chronological order here. Did Jermell win his world title when it was still Golden Boy, or was it already PBC by the time?
It was PBC. PBC.
It was.
Yes.
Okay. That seems hard to believe. Look, I believe Jermell. If Jermell was wrong, they would have called him out on it, right? But he's not, which just seems really weird to me, right? I understand why they have a beef with Golden Boy, with Oscar. Not necessarily Oscar, but Golden Boy in general has a history of racism.
Mm-hmm.
They probably weren't treated well, and at that time there wasn't a whole lot of options. There was no PBC option. There really wasn't a Matchroom USA. You could sign with Matchroom, but you're gonna go over. You know what I'm saying? It was either Top Rank or Golden Boy, right? That was really it.
Right? K2 main events. Let's be honest, they were never real players for those types of fights or fighters.
So that was it was like a duopoly between the two, and. Golden Boy had a lot of good fighters, so if you wanted to get those fights, you especially at those weight classes, you had to go over there. And it just shocked me. Why wouldn't they want to sign Jermell Charlo? That seems like someone they would have a bidding war over. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to sound like a homer here, but I kind of have to side with Jermell here. You know what I'm saying? It just seems to be the more well, what do you think?
I think Oscar did a smart job at keeping his argument simple, right? His exact statement is he doesn't know that when you left us, speaking of you, Jermell Charlo, that PBC took you from us. Yeah, you were getting paid $100,000, but you're fighting 8 rounds, 10 rounds, and you weren't even the world champion. That is, in essence, factually true, right? The D. Hopkins fight, I think, was a 10-rounder. The Rosado fight was a 10-rounder, I want to say, as well. And then the next fight, though, after he gets out of Golden Boy, though, he fights Vansmar Rosen and gets a title. So it's an interesting situation here where I think Oscar is keeping the argument very simple and smart to where people that want to defend him have an easy argument. Okay. Now, for the idea of, hey, if I'm Jermell Charlo, and I have my brother Jermell Charlo, who's not signed, and he's one that has maybe more hype than me at the time as well. We're not getting our just due here. We're constantly getting bombarded with, again, weird online campaigns. I remember, what was the campaign? The hashtag campaign against Charlo in the Rosado fight. It was it was weird. It was weird, and tons of media people jumped on it. And like you said, Golden Boy has a history of mistreating their black fighters. And just look at the present day of Rashidi Ellis. Does he get
Terrell Mason? Yeah.
Look at do they ever get any real shine? Do they get any push? And I think that's a legit criticism of that company. I don't know how to phrase this. I don't know if this is the sort of beef where someone's right or wrong, because they're both stating stuff that's right. What did Oscar say here that's wrong? PBC did take all these fighters from Oscar because he was a shitty promoter.
Take is kind of weird. They took it, right? They agreed to it. They didn't go to your house and steal it from you, from your garage, right? You mistreated your fighters, and a better option was offered to them, and they agreed to it. Took is weird, right? If I say I took something from you, does that mean I bought it. Like I agreed to a price. You know what I'm saying? Like took is weird.
And Oscar had all these fighters not signed, and guess what? They went away. That should happen. And Jermell Charlo was fighting 8 and 10 rounds. He was getting paid $100,000 for those fights, and that was maybe at the time decent pay.
But that's Jermell's argument. Is okay. It's what like 8 rounders, 100,000. That's actually good, right? But that's not where I should be paid, right? It's like, well, you're a backup quarterback, so you're going to get paid $3 million, but I should be a starting quarterback. Make me a starting quarterback, and then I'll make $20 million. You know what I'm saying? It's
I think Charlie's criticism here is more not of the money; it's more of the I was not given opportunities. That I wanted when I was with that company. And the second we left, we got opportunities. I think that's more the crux of his argument. And that's a better argument than arguing about money and who should get paid more. Because I think at that point, in that paradigm of the boxing world, $100,000 doesn't sound bad for the level of competition he was fighting. But again, that's not his argument. A lot of fans out there are just hanging on that issue, the money. But like we've been saying, the opportunities, I think, are far more of the issue. The second he left Golden Boy, he fights Vansmar Rosen and picks up a title. Like that's indicative of him being held back with Golden Boy. Look at Jermell Charlo's run with Golden Boy and then post Golden Boy with PBC. It's indicative of him not getting real fights and opportunities with Golden Boy.
Well, he's still not getting real fights, but he's getting real checks though. So
well, he's not getting real 160 because PBC has no one at 160, right? At 154, PBC has tons of names, and he fought a ton of them.
Yeah, and so is Jermell. Jermell's fighting everyone, all the guys at 154.
And that shows you, I think, a level of maybe what the issue is, and like what Oscar also said in the interview, and in another interview with Manuk Akopayan about Ryan Garcia. I mean, I think Ryan's issue is that you're now giving me to sort of flip it away from the Jermell Charlo case, right? You're now giving me a big opportunity, right? I'm supposed to fight Jorge Linares, right? This is what I'm talking about now. Because this was the fight that was supposed to happen in July. That's not happening now. If I'm fighting Jorge Linares, I should get paid reflective of fighting that level of opponent at my level of my career. Okay, I'm a huge star with no experience. You make me fight this guy with all this experience. Pay me what I deserve. And on top of it, it's during a pandemic. I wonder what it would look like for Ryan Garcia if he left Oscar. What his opportunities will look like. Same with Rashid Ellis. Same with Virgil Ortiz. There's a lot of fighters where we can have that argument of if they weren't with Golden Boy, would they have more opportunities? And the answer is mostly yes.
Eddie and Bob would love to have Virgil and Rashidi, right? It gives them a negotiating chip at 147. They would love to have those guys. Like Eddie would have Rashidi fighting 3 or 4 times a year, right? Looking spectacular. And forcing the hand, like, look, I have this draw, this talent. I need to, working across the aisle with either Bob with Terrence Crawford or with PBC, right? Like, Eddie would, if you gave Eddie or Bob, Virgil, and Rashidi, like, the whole dynamic of 147 would be different right now, right? But, like, Oscar is just like, who did Rashidi Ellis didn't fight for a year, and then who did he fight? It was ridiculous. And Rashidi is really, really talented.
We fought, what's his name again?
Yes, it was after not fighting for a year.
Not Ulysses Gomez. Who is it? I forget the name. But he fought somebody that was, again, a fight that we already saw that he had knocked out like in a round or two. And they made him fight again, and he went the distance. It was the stupidest promotional move you can imagine. Let me jump into some quotes really fast.
Eddie Gomez,
thank you. I knew it was a Gomez. Thank you. This is all from remember when, I think it was last week or the week before, when Ryan Garcia came out and said, aren't you supposed to be my promoter, not a hater right now? And he deleted that tweet, remember? Oscar's now come out and said more about this issue. We couldn't come to terms, speaking of the Jorge Linares fight. I'm sure his advice was obviously not a good one. It would have been a wonderful event. I was really, really looking forward to it. We'll see when he fights again. We just don't know at this point. We signed the richest deal for any type of prospect ever in boxing. His lawyer, Lupe Valencia, made this deal happen. And now Lupe is not satisfied with what they negotiated. It just doesn't make sense to me. Unfortunately, fighters in this game get a lot of bad advice. That's the bottom line. Or maybe they just have a different agenda. Rumors are starting to circulate about certain people trying to take fighters away from us, which is fine because ultimately we're protected with contracts, so there's no issue there. But when you have a top prospect like Ryan Garcia, everyone and their mother is going to try to take him away because he does move the meter. But therefore, we pay him accordingly. Gary, how does no one take this guy away from the media? I mean, and I'll be honest, there's another part of this that I didn't read about him talking about Hoya Linares. Hold on. Hoya Linares looking so good and how he's so worried for Ryan Garcia to face him right now. Like, this is the worst promoter I've seen ever. Like,
Well, he's also Jorge Linares' promoter, too. He promotes both guys.
Yeah, but let's be honest here. If you're a good promoter and you have Ryan Garcia or Hoya Linares, who are you bigging up more?
It's like if I have Floyd Mayweather and Robert Guerrero, who am I bigging up? I get it. You know, obviously.
First off, that comparison is wild, by the way. Wild comparison. I'm not going to
Guerrero's a good fighter, though, right? Like, I mean.
Sure, man. He beat Berto.
He's got a couple of wins. He's a 3-division world champ. 30, 35, and 47.
So was Adrian Broner, man. You're like, damn, good point, man.
Yeah. Select.
Adrian Broner ruined all of it for the 3-division champions, by the way. Because anytime someone says, oh, he's a 3-division champ, yeah, so is fucking Adrian Broner, man. Doesn't mean jack shit anymore.
I think Broner's a 4-division world champ. Isn't he 30, 35, 40, and 47?
He never won a belt at 40, 47. Sorry, 47.
He won Paulie's belt. Remember? He took his belt and his girl. That was at 47. He went from 35 to 47, right, and then he went back down to 40.
You're right.
And won a belt off a Theophane or something like that, a vacant belt or something.
Yeah. And Maidana took the belt from him, and then Mayweather took the belt from Maidana. Oh my god. Was it a legit belt or like a WBA?
No, it was the real WBA.
Tony Ye on the chat. Guerrero does CrossFit though. Back to Oscar though, and being a shit promoter, throwing Ryan under the bus while saying he can move the meter and I should pay him accordingly while not paying him accordingly. Like, thoughts on the contradiction here, time and time again from Oscar De La Hoya?
He just talks to hear himself speak. Like, I don't think he actually knows what he's saying. Like, he's not paying attention to what he's saying. He should be on the mic if he's going to be on the mic, which maybe he shouldn't be anymore, right? Like, maybe he should just be a figurehead, go in, smile, kind of like what they use Hopkins to do, but like just put De La Hoya in there, right? Like, if you just shut your mouth and smile and shook hands and took pictures and signed autographs, people would like you because people liked Oscar when he was a fighter, right? If he is going to talk, which he shouldn't, just say how great Ryan Garcia is and how great Canelo is. Tell him Canelo's the greatest fighter ever, and Ryan Garcia is about to be the greatest fighter ever. Period. That's it. Don't say anything else. Just they are the best fighters in the world. Tank Davis, I want that fight. Now, whether or not you actually want a Tank Davis fight is irrelevant. Devin Haney, I want that fight. He would smoke Devin Haney. Devin Haney's not even on his level. I look at Devin Haney, I look at a guy that's 3 years away. Ryan Garcia is right now. Right?
No,
that's what.
You know what? I don't think you need to throw your potential fighters or your potential fighters' opponents under the bus as well. Like, let's say, like, for this instance with Hoya,
don't make the fight if you don't really want the fight.
No, like, let's say like the Hoya Linares, like, you're the promoter of both, right? What do? You big both up. It's not that hard.
Yeah,
Hoya Linares, man, longtime champion. He has, look at his hand speed. I mean, the technical wizard that he is. And Ryan Garcia, man, he could be the next guy. He could be the next me. He could be the next guy. Maybe he has faster hands than Linares now. Maybe he has more power. Maybe he's the new Linares. You can do a lot of things and just bigging both up while promoting the fight and talking about it. And not throw your next star under the bus time and time again. Like, how many times is Oscar going to say that he's worried about Ryan or Ryan's scared? For someone to be like, yo, Oscar, stop saying that.
Seriously.
It's so counterproductive. Like, imagine if he went out there and, like, after the Mayweather fight said, yo, Canelo's too scared of Laura.
Yeah.
Imagine what that would have done. Like, It's just sad. It really is. And for the fighters that are under his stable, I always get just really sad about their futures because it just seems so mismanaged, so mispromoted. And like we've said, like guys like Virgil Ortiz, Rashidi Ellis, Ryan Garcia, even Canelo to a degree, they would be so much better suited if they were just on their own, probably.
Yeah, but Canelo's going to get his money regardless, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Canelo's like Michael Jordan. Like I'm going to get paid one way or another. So it's just weird to me. Like he could have got that contract, I imagine, from anyone or something similar to it. Why stick with Oscar? Like that's what.
And I'll be honest, why keep yourself to such a low base guarantee? I'll be honest, because from the sounds of it, the incentives he got in his deal did not match, let's say, like the Mayweather Showtime mega deal that he got, which was like $38 million per fight. Remember?
Yeah.
But he got pay-per-views on top of it, and like ticket sales and concessions, and obviously Mayweather Promotions got dates as well because of that deal. Like the trickle down effect of his money on top of the $38 million for that Showtime deal was significant. It's been very clear from Canelo's team that he's just getting that $35 million, it seems like. And he's upset about it. Because there have been several fights that he felt like has broken certain levels and he has not gotten paid accordingly. He wants to look at everyone's pocketbooks and checkbooks and make sure everyone is on the up and up. So that shows you that even he is not getting the benefit of that certain deal that you would expect. That he probably accepted a deal he shouldn't have. That he was lowballed.
Which is hard to believe because it was the richest deal. I know your boy Trout signed like $1 million more right after that, but it was the biggest contract in the history of sports at the time he signed it. If it's lowball, and I know Mayweather's worked out to be a lot more, but it was the most guaranteed money in the history of sports, right? Like
I don't know if that's true either, because Mayweather's was more, per fight. Mayweather was more.
No, it was more, but the total amount,
yes, that's the difference. Yes, you're absolutely right about that. That Canelo place, he has a 10-fight deal. I think Mayweather's was what?
6?
Yeah,
maybe 6. Yeah, I think it was 6.
I'm trying to remember now. I can't remember. I want to say right. I think it was 6. Moving on, though. Shout out to all the fighters in Golden Boy struggling to get dates and to get money. Our thoughts are with you. Moving on to another great stable of fighters. Frank Warren's stables of fighters. You know, the great UK stable over there. That the company that's currently in debt. Shout out to Queensberry Promotions. Did you ever look at their financial records from last year?
No.
Oh, man, Gary, you would have a field day.
Is it that bad?
Oh man, it's so bad. Yeah, they owe more money than they have. That's for definite. Yeah.
Are they cooking the book? I guess it's.
I showed it to somebody that is an accountant, right?
Yeah.
I wanted them to check it out, and their first question when they came back to me after they read it was, "So like this is like a funny money business, right? Like it's like that was like what they're saying, like." Are they just putting money back in? It's a tax write-off? Like, what's the deal here? Because they're losing money year after year and more money each year. But that's beside the point. Their big fight that maybe could save them to a degree, Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce, especially if Daniel Dubois wins and he becomes the next big AJ in the UK, could save Queensberry Promotions, is rescheduled now for October 24th at the O2 Arena in London. I'm excited about this. Hopefully it does pan out. Hopefully, with COVID-19 that we can somehow get this event off and everyone's safe and, proper procedures are followed through and executed. But this is a really good fight. And honestly, probably the best fight on the docket right now that we have. And that includes like AJ Pulev in that bullshit fight. Like Dan Dubois, Joe Joyce might be the best fight on the schedule so far this year.
No, it definitely is. Yeah. I mean, it's a good fight. It's not going to save Queensberry Promotions. It's not that big of a fight, I don't think. But it's a good fight. And Dubois should win by destruction.
Destruction? Really?
Destruction. Yeah. Joe Joyce is so slow. Again, I don't know that this is actually going to happen. Like, we're just like kicking the can down the street. Well, that's 4 months from now. We'll see what it looks like in 4 months from now. I mean, maybe it could, but like, everything's written in erasable pencil now. Like nothing's written in stone. Like,
is it all pencil erasable?
Well, some pencils, like carpenter pencils, don't have an eraser, but yeah, I guess it is erasable.
Well,
I mean, if you got an eraser, you could still erase it, I suppose.
You're right though. Carpenter pencils don't have erasers. Fun fact of the day there. I don't think it's gonna be as easy for Dubois, and I do think you're right though that this is a little bit of the kicking the can down the street and seeing what happens. Because who knows what this world looks like in October, man. I will say though that from my understanding, maybe I'm wrong about this, the UK doesn't have the huge spike that we're seeing right now. Right.
That's true. But okay, the London arena, the O2 arena holds 20,000, I would guess. Like the Garden.
I don't think we're going to see full capacity for this event. I know that it's not really talked about in this article whether it will be, but I doubt it. I highly doubt we see full capacity.
So like I had this question, like they're going to have football again, right? They had 13 Texas Longhorn players who tested positive. What if that happened in the NFL? All right, so what if it's your offensive line, your quarterback? You can't play that way. You know what I'm saying? It's not like boxing or golf where you just take that guy out. Are you going to say, you have to play now, but you can't have your entire offensive line or your starting quarterback. You're going to get killed, right? Like, I mean, like, I don't think, like, I think people are just doing this on the whim right now without really thinking things out, right? This is 4 months out, so I'm sure they haven't thought it out yet, but like these other sports, like basketball is going to have the playoffs. They're going to have 8 more games and they go to the playoffs. Let me ask you this. You're a Lakers fan. If we get to the first round of the playoffs, everyone's clean. Get to the second round, everyone's clean. Before the Western Conference playoff starts, Anthony Davis and LeBron James test positive for COVID. Right? Just,
don't.
Oh, no. You can play. You just can't play with those two guys. Like, no, I'm not playing. No. You're going to wait 2 weeks till they're done quarantining. And then I just don't think any of this is really thought out.
I don't think any of it's really feasible.
You know what they're going to do in football? They're going to test them once and just be done with it. If they're clean, they're clean. People start getting sick, though. Nothing to see here. You want to? Like, I don't see how you can play football this way, right? I can't see it. Like, how are you going to socially distance and play professional football?
Let's be honest, though. The NFL has been hiding people with CTE committing suicide for decades. So. COVID-19, not really an issue, in my opinion, to cover that shit up. I do think basketball is going to have a real tough time because that union's so strong. Baseball, too. I just don't see those sports coming back anytime soon at all. I just don't. Football, we might see them push through because
football is rough because these guys have really short careers. Their money isn't guaranteed, so they want to get back out there. Yeah. Like Wilson Chandler on the Nets, and it's a couple other guys said, I'm not coming back. Like, it's fine. Like, I'll take the prorated money.
Plus, with what this can do to your lungs, too, a lot of athletes are now hip to that fact, and they're thinking, whoa, even if I get it, I'm good. My career might be fucking ruined because my lungs are now ruined. So I don't even want to risk even getting it, not even dying from it. That's not even as much of a concern right now. It's my lungs and me damaging my career or my paycheck in the future. Because let's say I get it, I'm done with that 2-week quarantine, but I can't breathe the same. I can't run down the court the same way. My money's now fucked up. My career is ruined. I don't see it. I don't see us getting these mainstream sports back. For boxing, I mean, we're the red light district.
Just let it go.
They're letting it ride. I mean, look, they're showing cards in Mexico that have no jurisdiction right now on ESPN, literally owned by Disney, because they don't care right now. It's boxing. It's going to go on. There's cartel leaders involved, oil barons that kill media members involved. It is what it is.
If they just put a big warning on it, like a pack of cigarettes, and said, "Look, football and basketball are contact sports. There's physical people make it COVID." I mean, would you at least appreciate the honesty? Like they say, we're not going to test because we don't want to ruin the product.
I would appreciate the honesty. I don't appreciate the answer, right? Like I don't think the answer is right, but if it would be great if some sort of commissioner saying, yeah, I know, like we're all worried about like player health and stuff. Like we don't. We're just worried about our paychecks.
Football. There are so many people who have, and it's 16 Sundays, right? Or 17. I guess there's a bye week, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's so many important people who are not going to be shortchanged. Like they're gonna do something to just make you think it's no big deal, right? Like if somebody gets it and they're sick, they're gonna say he's broke his leg, he's out for the season. Don't worry about him. right? Like I'm telling you, the football. Football is so big, and there's so many advertising dollars in football. They're gonna force it. They're gonna force it to happen. And what that looks like in the end, I have no idea.
Yo, J Project in the chat. I can't repeat that statement because I'm white, but that shit's hilarious. So I say that. We're gonna move on because I think we got off the Daniel Dubois topic to a degree. And I think we're all sort of just waiting, like with some of these fights, especially the good ones now with like Elvin Alvarez, Joe Smith Jr. What was another fight that was canceled?
Good ones? I mean,
what was the one that Pedraza?
Hooker Prograis and Pedraza Lespierre.
No, Pedraza replaced a fight that was good. What fight did it replace? Was it the Alvarez Joe Smith Jr. fight? It might have been that one then.
Yeah, it was Alvarez. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it was that one. That fight was good. Damn it. Fuck COVID.
We're not getting good fights right now. I mean, this is Burchelt versus the guy who beat his Uber driver. The guy, the guy who lost to the Uber driver against Burchelt is what we had to settle for. These ridiculous mismatches where you have, like Rob would say, the 1960 New York Yankees or the 1956 New York Yankees against the farm team. It's like this shouldn't be happening right now.
All right, let's move on. Vajic, I don't think we really talked about this, and we had somebody in our comment section actually asked us to talk about this more. I don't think we really addressed it. It was the Alexander Vajic retirement. So I don't know if we really touched on this, but I want to circle back on it just for the sake of it. He was a really good champion even though his career was really short. He's fine. He's saying that his mind's fine, his body's fine. He just feels like it was the right time to retire. Thoughts on this? Gary, thoughts on Alexander Vajic retiring at age 33, very young, coming off his first career loss and retiring. Do you think this is a real retirement? Do you think we see him back in the sport, or is he done?
If he's financially set and his brain's in good shape, be done with it. I mean, this is a brutal sport, right? This ain't golf, right? I mean, there's long-lasting effects on this, right? So, I mean, if he's set and he's done, go ahead, enjoy your life. Andre Ward, Tim Bradley did it. They weren't much. They were probably about the same age, right?
Yeah, but let's be honest here. Andre Ward got the gigantic Rock Nation deal to where he can just walk off on the sunset.
And Bradley got that Pacquiao money times 3.
Yeah. Vajic got paid less than $1 million, I want to say, for the Better Be fight. But what if he goes around $1 million? It wasn't a lot.
What if he goes back to the Ukraine and they treat him like gold? You know what I'm saying? Like Famoso Hernandez. Where is he from? I forget what it's a Latin American country, but he goes there and he's gold. Like they pick him up, security picks him up, like they ship him where he you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know, maybe he can go back to Ukraine and retire like a king.
If he can, like you said, if he can, all credit to him. Shout out to him. Always great to walk off when you can before it's too late. I'm just kind of skeptical if he's
El Salvador is where he's originally from. He goes back to El Salvador and he's treated like the Beatles just arrived, right? Like
I'm skeptical of Vajic actually retiring. I think
it's tough because he's 33. But didn't you think Ward and Bradley were going to come back too?
No.
Okay.
Ward a little bit for some big fights. I thought he could be convinced like maybe a Canelo fight or.
I thought they were going to convince Bradley to come back for a Crawford fight, right? Like they got nobody on the table. Bradley, how much do we need to pay you to come back and fight?
I'll be honest. Crawford? Those last few Bradley fights were really rough to watch.
Yeah, he lost it quickly, huh?
Yeah.
It was that Provodnik, the Provodnik fight. I think that had lasting effects on him.
Oh, it did. And he even talks about it to a degree. And I think his inner circle were telling him to retire and were very adamant about that. I'll be honest. I didn't think Bradley was going to come back at all.
Joel Diaz says, I talked to Diaz. He was at the weigh-in for the Virgil Ortiz, one of the Virgil Ortiz fights, the one in Dallas. And I was talking to him. He said Bradley was slurring his words and like forgetting things for like weeks, like 6-8 weeks after. Like he was still slurring and forgetting things. It's like you have to go pick up your dry cleaning. And you have to tell him like 3 times. You know, it was like little things like that for 6 to 8 weeks, not a day or two after. He's like weeks after. I think that fight.
No, it did. I mean, no,
Yeah.
they were very credit to them to a degree because I don't think most fighters are as open as that team was as he was about how his mind was not right after that war. And he was very open and vulnerable about that. And if people aren't aware of that, I mean, go just type in some Tim Bradley, Ruslan Provodnikov effects or brain damage or something like that. I mean, maybe that's a little bit egregious to type, but there's something to that effect. There's long interviews of Bradley talking about it and being open about his memory issues after that fight. And look, Bradley's always been one of those people that maybe this is a little bit of a serious topic we're speculating here to a degree, but I've always been a little bit worried about his mental capabilities, so to speak, post his career. Because he took such a beating. If anyone is going to get CTE, he's almost the prime candidate of that generation to a degree because he was in a lot of wars. He took a lot of damage and a lot of big fucking fights.
I mean, right before he retired, I think it was the WBC or one of the organizations ordered a fight between him and Spence. This is before Spence beat Cal Brook. That could have been real bad. I remember at the time I was thinking, wow, that's a great fight. That's a great fight. And, if Spence wins, like that catapults him. But Bradley's a great boxer. Bradley's got a ton of Spence never fought anyone like that. And so it's just good that didn't happen. Right. I was talking to Sergio Mora once, right? I go, hey Sergio, did you deserve that decision against Mosley? And he's like, what do you think? I was like, it's a close fight. You probably eked out enough rounds to win the fight. It's like, of course I won the fight. It's like, but you know what? If I won that fight, I probably would have got the Canelo fight and he would have beat my brains and I wouldn't be sitting here talking boxing now. It's like sometimes good comes of it,
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. We're going to go a little bit off the schedule here for a bit. I've seen a few people ask this in the chat. I didn't want to really address this, but people want us to talk about the whole Glovegate 2.0 issue here, Gary. And look, I'm not 100% peeped on all this. So if anyone out there, if I'm missaying any of this conspiracy theory, my apologies, I guess. I want to say it was brought back up again because a video showed that Rob out there was, a little bit Sherlock Holmes, showed that it was photoshopped of Tyson Fury's glove being deflated, but that was Photoshop. And then we got Marcellus Wilder on Instagram saying that Wilder's head has a dent in it. I'm not joking. I wish I was so much. And that there's something in Fury's glove. So now it's not that Fury took stuff out of his glove. It's that Fury, I don't know, put plaster in his glove. I don't know. I'll be honest, guys. I hate this so much. I think everyone that listens to the show knows that I am a little bit softer when it comes to my Wilder criticism than the other heavyweights. People know that. But holy fucking hell, guys. Wilder has said, and his team have said, literally the worst things possible to say after your first big loss. He said the worst thing in the book. Blames his walkout outfit, which I think wasn't even in the book. They had to write a new page in the book of excuses because no one ever thought of that bullshit. He did. We had the whole Glovegate thing where it was Fury's hand was out of the glove, so then he can hit him with his knuckles. I don't know. People clearly need to put on boxing gloves more often, I feel like. And now we have maybe there's plaster in the gloves and he has a dent in his head. I don't care. The thoughts about people in his team were, having hand signals or smoke signals in the middle of the fight to Fury's corner, whatever. I don't care about any of these excuses. I think they have actually hurt Wilder's brand. They've hurt his image to a degree, especially in the boxing community. And anything, they've devalued that fight. That fight's important. That fight has meaning. That fight, even though he lost, that fight is a valuable fight in this modern boxing history that we are seeing unfold in front of us, right? 20 years from now, when we talk about this era, we're going to talk about the Furies, the Wilders, and the AJs, and we're talking about these fights. And now we have to talk about this fight, which was a really entertaining fight, even though it was one-sided, in the way of, remember all those bullshit excuses, the costume, the Andre Jarrell being a spy, glove being deflated or padded up. We don't know. Like, it has now taken away from this fight. And I think that does this rivalry a disservice to a degree.
But it's the level of silliness, right? Like, no one actually thinks that, right? Like, I know some of the LDBC guys are, but like, there's like 7 people. You know what I'm saying? It's like taking, like, Kyrie Irving said the earth is flat. It's like, okay, come on, like, it's a handful of people who think that. Like, I mean, let's just not. I get the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I get it, right? So they, yeah, okay. They keep saying the same stupid thing over and over again, so it's gonna get some attention. But like, as like serious grown-up people, let's treat them like they're at the kids' table because they're at the kiddie table. Like, don't take their conversation seriously.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, we don't need to take every topic in the boxing community or Twitter sphere seriously. We don't. Like, we don't have to, guys. And this one has like taken a life of its own, and I just do not get it at all.
I like, they can't just admit he lost. I don't know what it is, like, but there has to be some reason. Like, he couldn't have lost on merit. Like, that's impossible. So there had to be some other thing that came up to tilt the scales in Fury's favor. But it's like,
well, again, like, if you're gonna have an excuse, keep it the same, right? First, it was, oh, Fury put his hand halfway out the glove, and somehow that made him more effective with his punches. It doesn't, motherfuckers. Like, please put on boxing gloves and hit a heavy bag for once in your goddamn life. Please, Dante Boxing. Dante Boxing. I know for a fact you never put on a boxing glove in your life. Put one on and hit a bag. Please do the Fury and see if that's more effective. It's not, right? I've done it. And guess what? It fucking hurts your hand. It doesn't provide efficiency to your movement, to your power at all. And now we're saying that the gloves were plastered or there was something in the gloves and it caused a dent. Like, you can't flip-flop this. Was the glove floppy and his hand was out of it, or was there stuff in the glove? So that's when it automatically becomes like such extreme bullshit in my mind. And again, like the pictures of the glove where his hand is bent this way. Like, look, man, like, again, go out there and spar more. Go out there and hit the bag more. Your hands get put in weird positions if you take a still photo. Like, it's sorry, people. Get over it. Like, Deontay Wilder lost because he didn't have a game plan. Fury did. And look, anyone out there, like, you should know I'm not a Fury fan. I'm one of those people that are still out there talking to Ben Davison and the Fury team, asking them to please answer why they think Deontay Wilder is a literal devil worshiper, and how that has any effect on like boxing, because they do think that. I mean, it's some racist bullshit, and I want to get to the bottom of it. And maybe that has more material matter than these bullshit conspiracy theories. But guess what? These bullshit conspiracy theories are going to be thought of more for the rest of time because it's been talked about more.
He's a devil worshiper. Like, let's say that's true. You still have to go out and beat him. I don't know how. Like, how does that change anything,
dude? Do you remember that interview with Ben Davison?
Vaguely. Like, I didn't remember, but once you said it, like, it started coming back.
I wish I had the link like on hand. It's so good, guys. With Coog and Cassius, right, in this car late at night with Ben Davison. Ben Davison goes, I don't want to get into it, but we all know him and his team are into some, interesting stuff, some weird stuff, some devil worship. What the fuck? What bullshit are you on?
But like, how is that relevant? Like, even if it's true, which I'm sure it's not. Like, okay, what does that mean? Like, does that give you an advantage or a disadvantage? Like, how does that work? Like,
you know what? I'm not going to answer the people in the chat right now that I know are trolling me, aka Jay and MC Treasure. Fuck you guys, okay? Because I just ranting on Wilder and like, Matt's a proper Wilder fan. Matt, you love Wilder. Just admit it. I fucking hate you guys so much. Oh God. But yeah, that's what I think about Glovegate 2.0. I think it's the biggest pile of bullshit I've ever seen in boxing, other than like legitimate issues in the sport. Like we're talking about like the bullshit conspiracy theories. This is like the bullshit of the bullshit. Like this is peak bullshit. And I just want it to go away. I'll be honest. I cannot wait for them to fight again. I cannot wait to get some finality with this rivalry and it not be conspiracy theories because I hate it so much.
Like, for someone who likes conspiracy theories, there's a conspiracy theory out there for all of them, right? Like, if some of you wanted to be true, like we were talking about Tupac. Like, I really wanted it to be true. I wanted Tupac to be alive, and I followed everyone, and everyone runs into a dead end, right? Like, you just want something to be true, so you'll try to, you know what I'm saying? You'll try to make it that way. You'll try to ship facts and theories to meet, you know. You get a conclusion, and then you try to tilt everything to your conclusion. I get it. I wanted Tupac to be in Cuba with his aunt too. It just
so much.
It isn't the case. Sorry, spoiler alert.
How did he have that much music recorded? I don't know. You know, these are the questions you have to ask people. That motherfucker had like 10 albums just stacked, ready to go when he died. That's some legendary shit. Okay. Moving on though. We're gonna briefly cover the last couple topics, then get out of here, guys. Julio Cesar Martinez went out there and said he's preparing to fight Artem Dalikin, and then Team Dalikin said, "No, we're not planning to fight you. This is fake news. I have no idea what you're talking about." And on top of it, guys, Abner Mares is now a U.S. citizen. I know he had a video, I think he posted on social media of him doing like the drive-by process now because obviously you have COVID and in LA. Props to him. I know I've had tons of friends and pseudo family go through this process, and it's a very long process. I didn't even know that Abner Mares wasn't a U.S. citizen.
Because he's lived here since he's a kid. He's like 35 now, right?
Yeah. I mean, I view him as an East LA guy. Like he's an LA guy. Like that's always how I viewed him.
Like, I know my mom was like 50 years ago, but it took like 5 years. Like I can't believe it takes this long now. Like,
yeah.
Like, could you imagine if you don't have money, you don't have connections? How long would it take like, a regular person? Like, if you're just like a construction worker, or if you're just a regular person, right? Like you're not a celebrity, not a professional athlete. You just have to go through the process without any special connections. Would it take twice as long? Would it take? It's just.
He came at the age of 7. Been there for over 20 years.
30 years.
That's crazy, man. Crazy. Shout out to him though. For those that know, I obviously have a lot of issues with the U.S. Imperialistic structure. But hey, if you want to be a citizen of this country, all credit to you, man. You want to go through that process, especially nowadays, a really tough process. And go
30-year process, apparently. Right, like if you're a good citizen, if you have no arrest, if you have a job, if you're a taxpayer, then if you have millions of dollars, then it only takes 30 years. It's inconceivable.
Jay Proj in the chat saying, Matt, how are you doing all these boxing shows with no boxing? Well, they have been boxing, but I get your point. Yet,
not really.
Yet UFC is like 10 shows into the pandemic. Shaking my head. Come on, bro. Look, I'll say this, Jay. I know you're a dual fan like me. I feel like there's so few of us that listen to the show that like care about the UFC and MMA content. And on top of it, I've tried to do more MMA shows, but I don't like doing them solo. I can do boxing shows solo because I feel very confident about the subject matter. I can talk about it. But MMA and UFC, because I've spent so much time not covering it, honestly, I don't feel like I can cover it solo. That's just me being very honest about my own limitations. I don't feel like I can cover those solo dolo and really do it adequately. Like I've been trying to get Anthony Walker on more, but he's busy. I'll try to reach out to more of my MMA media friends and see if I can get sort of a rotating cast and do more shows, because I know that they have had some really good cards. I mean, obviously the Dan Hooker and Dustin Poirier fight on Saturday was fucking fantastic. That was a fight of the year worthy fight. I know you're not a big UFC guy, Gary, but go back on ESPN Plus if you want and watch that fight. That's a good fight.
So this was annoying because every time I looked at it quickly, I thought it said Prograis versus Hooker, and I like
you were so excited.
Yeah,
look, it's happening.
It's happening. On ESPN. right.
Oh, it's hilarious. M say maybe this is a chance for Matt and Jay to do MMA show together. Hey, man, if Jay wants to hit me up, email, bro. You know, Big Time at Radio. Let me know. I'm always down for another co-host because we can always use more. Foo's not around anymore.
He did a show this last show, was it? Or a week ago?
No, RIP. Foo's gone.
Rip. Pour some liquor on the floor for him.
No, you guys put her back. He's gone. He's back. He's back now.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for today. Gary's gonna be gone for the week, so this is the last show with Gary for this week. I assume I'm gonna be on with Rob relatively soon because we're gonna cover the Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, Defon Pursoon, Eddie Hearn, Lou DiBella, that whole fiasco. I want to do that one with Rob because Rob, it's Eddie. That's his man's. He's an expert on that field, and I know he wants to sort of rant about Jordan and all that bullshit. So we're gonna get into that. Probably on Tuesday is what I'm thinking. Might jump back a little bit sooner than Wednesday. Probably a Tuesday show. And what else? Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, on all social media platforms right there. It's right there on the screen or in the description. Like the show, subscribe. If you listen on Patreon or go listen on Patreon, support the show. That always helps, especially in this age where the show does not pay for itself anymore, guys. Just letting you guys know. YouTube doesn't pay for the show. Podcast does not pay for the show right now because we don't have the amount of shows, the amount of views. So money is down. I've had to go out of pocket a little bit to re-up on some software and stuff. A little bit difficult, but don't worry about it. It's all worth it because I love this. I love doing this for you guys. And I love being here with Gary. Like, I'll be honest. Like, this is something that I love to do. Like, I love to get on here with Gary or Rob or Foo or Anthony and talk combat sports.
But
so,
Rob to a lesser degree.
Always to a lesser degree. It's Rob. It's Robbie Hearns, for fuck's sake.
I didn't know that his last name actually wasn't Hearn until like I started being on the show, and I saw like his YouTube was like Rob Witherall or whatever. I was like, who's that guy? I really had no clue that his last name actually wasn't Hearn.
The amount of people that have hit me up and asked if Rob was actually his second cousin twice removed is hilarious. No, he's just his first cousin, guys. That's what it is. Have a great day, great evening, great night. I know it's a Sunday. Enjoy it. I know July 4th is coming up. Enjoy that as well. All those out there protesting the streets, keep protesting. Fuck the police. Fuck white supremacy. Obviously, I think we're still in Pride Month, so shout out to all of our LGBTQ plus listeners. And what else do we have? I think that's it. Have a good one. Gary?
Find me on all forms of social media at 3D Boxing blog. Good show. I will unfortunately, or fortunately for y'all, depending on how you look at it, be gone for a week. From Texas to the world. Thank you, and God bless.
And Johnny's saying, where is Rob? I mean, it is like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. over there for him.
Should we wake him up? Should we get him?
You'll be so pissed.
Rob, do your outro.
Have a good one, guys. Peace.